Hi, what's up? I'm Channel Pup, fanboy, supervillain. And we got an exciting one today, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. We have got set photos of the upcoming James Gunn Superman movie, courtesy of Just Jared. And no, these aren't the first set photos we've ever gotten from the Superman movie, but they are the first ones to showcase the costumes. So naturally, that gives us something to really talk about. And that is exactly what we are going to do in today's video. Subscribe, patron if you want to support me. I could really use the help and I really appreciate it. Links in the description below, you know what to do. Thank you so much. Hey there, Pup from the future here. Really sorry, I probably cannot show any of the images in the video. I have heard some horror stories about other content creators who have included the images and have had to pay around about $2,000 just to get a copyright strike removed from the photographer or the studio that released these. So I'm not going to take my chances. Instead, I'm just going to draw a picture of the David Corenswet Superman suit in MS Paint using my laptop's trackpad, so that ought to be fairly entertaining. Yeah, I will leave a link in the description to where you can see these images, but for now this video is just going to be about my opinions on these suits rather than actually showing them. So yeah, bummer, but we move. So first of all, it's really cool to see Superman and Mr. Terrific side by side. And we've got Eddie Gathegi in his Mr. Terrific costume, which I'm going to talk about before I talk about the Superman costume. Now, I'm not an expert on Mr. Terrific, but I do know what he looks like. We've all seen that one image of Mr. Terrific painted by Alex Ross that does the rounds whenever there's any news about Mr. Terrific in the upcoming Superman movie. And a quick Google search will give you a general reference point for what Mr. Terrific is supposed to look like. And man, oh man, holy mackerel. It is like Mr. Terrific just leapt off of the page. Everything here is exactly as it's supposed to be, at least from what we can see here. We've got the leather jacket with the ridges in the shoulders. The red, black, and white design is exactly how it looks in the images that I've seen of Mr. Terrific before. We've got that dark T-shape on his face, and the embroidered fair play down the arm. Not much to really say. It's Mr. Terrific as I know and understand him, albeit with a limited understanding of the character of Mr. Terrific. But it's safe to say they've definitely gone down the comic-accurate route here. Dare I say, he looks terrific. Moving on, we're going to talk about David Corenswet's Superman suit, which I have already spoken about a little bit because we did get the reveal image earlier in the year. And I said before that it was a very baffling choice of reveal image. Superman isn't in any kind of heroic pose, he's crouched over putting his boot on, in a very dark lit room. Not to mention that the suit was clearly very faded and battle damaged in that shot. So it felt like we barely even got a really good look at it, but there were some things that I was seeing that I wasn't so fond of. There was a lot of line work on the suit that felt very much like what a lot of people have criticized about MCU costumes, and while I generally like the MCU costumes, this was kind of symptomatic of one of the problems that I do have with some of the MCU suits. It didn't look like seams or anything, it just looked like lines for the sake of lines. And that was something I was super concerned about, but I was saying I'd like to see kind of how this all comes together when we get a good look at him standing up, and we do get that here. There are some shots here where the suit does look maybe just a teeny bit baggy, and I think that's mainly down to kind of the sheen of the screen, as Boba Talks would say. Like, sometimes these suits are not made to necessarily be doing things like crouching or anything like that, so they'll bunch up a little bit, or they are more loose, so they are designed for mobility in certain shots. But when you see it actually on screen, it'll be a nice form-fitting thing. But again, that's another reason why that reveal photo was kind of as baffling as it was because the suit did look quite baggy in that shot. And if you're going to do a reveal image like that, presumably we're going to get a look at the suit as it's kind of supposed to be seen. And the interesting thing here is that these set photos give us a much better look at this suit, and the suit looks much better in them than it does in the actual, like, deliberate reveal photo that they wanted everybody to see. But here we are getting, like, the best look of the suit now. We can see things like, yes, he has got the trunks, we can see what the belt looks like. We've got a much better look at just kind of how prominent that new 52 style collar is going to be. So right off the bat, I'm gonna say this. I haven't changed my mind about the line work on this suit. That does still, to me, feel very MCU, and I understand why they've done that. MCU very successful, and it does make things look a bit more layered up, but personally, I would ditch a lot of that line work. Maybe not so much the line around the cape, where it kind of dips into where the collar is. I actually think that is quite complimentary. But the line work does cut out that very common sort of T shape on the torso that so many superhero costumes these days have. I understand it's very much meant to complement the form, but I would say, like, let David Corenswet's form speak for itself. He's in very good shape, as you can see in these images here. Or maybe just find another way that isn't so commonly done. So personally, I know I'm beginning on kind of a negative here. I would probably ditch some of these lines, especially like the ones around the forearm and hands. You could definitely get rid of them. And the ones on the lower torso, but I do think the ones around the shoulders and neck do frame up the cape quite nicely, so I'd say they could probably stay. I was a little worried about the New 52 style collar, because I was never a huge fan of the New 52 style collar. I don't like it when there's like a massive wide berth around the chest. I thought Brandon Routh's suit in the Crisis on Infinite Earths special, it had kind of too wide of a berth around the neck. You could almost kind of see his pectorals. Almost like they were trying to show off his Superman cleavage. I think the Tyler Hoechlin suit did kind of a nice job at kind of just getting that right. In this case, though, we've got a full-on collar, which is something that I don't think we've seen in live action before. I think the only other time we've seen a live-action Superman suit do this was Tyler Hoechlin's black suit. And it is a difficult thing to pull off because it can cause the cape to look kind of just like it cuts into the suit, taking away some of that form that you'd otherwise have there. Or it can make it look a little too sci-fi, a little too militaristic or uniform. In this case here, though, it really does seem to be actually kind of subtle. Like, it looks natural. It looks like that is how it's supposed to be. And again, I did mention that actually some of the line work piping around this section here actually does help the form of kind of the cape and how it kind of flows around the shoulders. So honest to God, like, thumbs up to the collar. I think they've done a really nice job with that. It's nice to see a little bit of New 52 influence in there. Yeah, solid. We've got the belt, which is very back to basics. It's very much sort of that signature yellow Superman belt. It's not trying to be bronzy or goldy. It's a yellow belt. Pretty rubbery looking, quite indented as well, and I do like the way the square edges of the belt go into the square buckle. That all looks good. It's also kind of cool to see how this holds the trunks up as well, which I think they've pulled off, all things considered. Like, personally, I do prefer when they're going to do like this is a Kryptonian Superman suit. I prefer when they don't do the trunks, personally. It is just a preference. Don't come after me, Superman fans. And this very much does appear to be a Kryptonian suit. This doesn't look like the kind of thing his mum would have made him. It's got that very sort of rubberized cinematic look to it. This is not like a homemade thing. At the same time, though, I do acknowledge that that is just a preference, and ultimately, yes, there is a big part of me that is giddy to see a Superman come out looking this classic Superman. Like, the trunks are unashamed. They're not subtle. They're not trying to hide themselves. They haven't tried to slim them down or anything. They are right there for all to see. And David Corenswet is wearing them with confidence. They are presented with confidence, so they do look cool. One thing I definitely like more about this suit than I did about the Snyderverse Superman suits was that we don't have that rubber muscle work going on underneath the suit. We don't have these glorified, fake-looking rubber muscles. It does look like a very sort of a natural fit. I reckon it's probably a little padded, but it doesn't look it, you know? This does look like it is letting David Corenswet's physique speak for itself. I really do love what they've done with the Kingdom Come crest here. Just the size of it, where it sits on his chest, I think that's just about perfect. Wouldn't really want it to be much bigger, wouldn't want it to be much smaller either. It just looks really, really good. And the yellow piping around it, again, looks really nice. Adds a little bit of extra depth to this design. Also, the colors. Very Christopher Reeve. Like, just in terms of, like, the shade of blue that they've gone for, it is very much that sort of sunny blue sky kind of blue. Rather than the almost kind of sort of jeans blue I expected it to be based on that reveal photo. It's got nice highlights to it as well with how it kind of reflects the light. The yellow is a really nice sort of sunny yellow. It's a very unashamed yellow. It's not muted like it was in the Snyderverse or Superman and Lois. It is a very confident, sunny, golden yellow. We've got a really nice, rich red for the cape, the trunks, and the logo as well. And we can see here that Superman does have the yellow S crest on the back of the cape. So again, very unashamedly classic Superman. There are definitely elements of this suit that I'm not so fond of, mainly just being how much piping and line work is all over this thing. You could just reduce that down a little bit and this suit would really speak for itself. Other than that, though, I mean, they could look worse. Like, they do at least complement the form. I just don't think they're needed. It leads to the costume looking a little unnecessarily crowded. With that being said, though, it does come together. They're not distracting from the overall thing. I look at this and I see Superman. Unashamedly, unabashedly Superman. And this suit does feel very much like a sort of a love letter to Superman's history, in that you've got just the overall look of classic Superman, complete with the trunks and the colors. But you've also got that Alex Ross Kingdom Come chest crest, the New 52 collar, and I guess the line work is a little bit New 52-y as well. I do not doubt that there was a love for Superman's history when crafting this costume, and I think that absolutely comes across. In terms of comparisons to suits we've had before, compared to like the Snyderverse suits, for example, and I did love the Snyderverse suits, but what we have here is much more kind of a classic Superman look. I mean, to be honest, Snyderverse Superman was very much classic Superman, just minus the trunks. But everything here feels that bit more comic booky, whereas Snyder's version felt a bit more mythological, very much more alien. A bit more godlike in terms of appearance, which also makes sense for those rubber muscles, even though I really didn't like those. So again, like, when I did talk about the reveal photo, and I was kind of talking about how I didn't like the line work on the suit, a lot of people thought I was, like, hating the suit, and no, listen, I love Snyderverse Superman, I love Snyderverse Superman's suits, but I really don't love the fake rubber muscles on those. So, like, again, even those weren't perfect in my opinion. Personally, I would take a little bit of obnoxious line work over rubber abs, so this suit definitely has that over the Snyderverse suit. Now I just need to kind of see how this marinates with me once I've seen it actually in action. From what I'm seeing here in these set photos, these are really great pictures of the suit, and give us a really good look at it, and I'm very happy with what I'm seeing here. And I think just looking at Superman and Mr. Terrific side by side, it does tell us kind of what we can expect from James Gunn's DC universe in terms of the costumes. And I suppose we could have seen that coming from the Suicide Squad in 2021, that there is very much a focus on comic accuracy in terms of these designs, being very instantly recognizable and unashamedly comic booky. I also just want to say real quick as well, David Corenswet, he always looked the part as Superman, but seeing him in the suit properly here really excites me. I think he's going to do a great job as Superman. He's definitely got the look. He looks as much like Superman as Henry Cavill did, and that is quite a triumphant bit of casting right there. So yeah, overall, everything I'm seeing here looks really, really cool. Very happy with how this is all coming together. I do have some criticisms, but overall, like, the overall thing here looks great. If I were to give this Superman suit like an arbitrary numbers ranking, I would probably give it like an 8 out of 10. And as for Mr. Terrific, like 10 out of 10 for that suit. They've just absolutely nailed it. So there you go. What do you guys think of the new Superman and Mr. Terrific suits? Comment below, discuss, and as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to support more like it, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, and in the description below is the link to my Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get your name in the credits of these videos, with a special shout out going to the patrons in the $5 and above tiers. We have RT0, Calex, Hypes, Glad Goku, Dare Denny, SSS06, Kale Bennett, Ken K, Dazzle Fizzle, I've sent my evil clone to find some helium, Cirrus the Skeptic, Biotin, oh no, I've used up all of the helium, what am I meant to do now? And Vera Wild, thank you good folks so much for your generosity, and to all of you at home, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Now get out of here.